What's the difference between the camera movement in this shot and the one in this shot? If I ask you to list all types of camera movement, you'll likely resort to that well-known list: tracking, dollying, panning, tilting, and whatever else. Though they do explain what the camera is doing, these terms never really say anything about what's actually going on in the screen itself. So when it comes to types of camera movement, I advise the use of a screen-oriented view of the subject. Let's delve into it.
Cameras.
From now on, let's think in terms of focal points. That is, the one element on screen you're supposed to be looking at in a given moment. I like to call it a cult, center of attention. Mackendrick talks about this view of camera movement in his famous book on filmmaking. He names two kinds: motivated and unmotivated. Here's his example from North by Northwest. In the shot, the camera follows Cary Grant. He's moving and the camera with him. That's a motivated motion. It's when the camera moves in accordance with some movement happening inside the frame. Here's the shot right after. The camera abandons Cary Grant and pans back to where he came from. There is no internal movement. There's no code for the camera to capture. Which leads us to wonder, why are we moving at all? That's a case of unmotivated camera movement. There's nothing guiding the camera somewhere else, so you must wait until we settle on something. But instead of motivated and unmotivated, I prefer to say the camera either follows or seeks. In simple terms, the following camera has a cult, the seeking camera doesn't. Let's talk about them.
I'm being followed. Can you do anything about it?
Yes, I can.
Do it.
The following camera is usually the mark of the invisible director, of the filmmaker whose visual style is discreet and hard to grasp if you're not watching closely. We have a cult, the cult moves, we follow. That's simple. In a well-staged scene, a cult will guide our eyes to another cult, moving the screen from one setup to another without calling attention to the camera movement. Sometimes we might follow a random background player just so the camera will have some minimum motivation. Mackendrick mentions this arbitrary passerby the camera uses as an excuse to find Cary Grant on the right. In Casablanca, we hitchhike on this unimportant waiter so we can reach the bar. We are led by the camera, which is led by the cult. And in that movement we may find ourselves in a new cult without even noticing. In this shot from the pianist, we follow Adrian Brody pushing a car to the left. Without telling us, the camera loses interest in him and decides to turn these two into our new center of attention. The Last Emperor has a great and very subtle example. We follow the protagonist from left to right. Now we remain in place as we watch him walking to the background towards the stairs. The camera booms up, following his movement. But we soon rack focus to the foreground and our cult becomes Peter O'Toole's hand picking up a camera. In the very same upwards movement, we now follow O'Toole's hand. It brings us to him, our final cult. From following character A, we switch to following character B in the same motion. That's the following camera and its beauty. It's subtle, hidden, invisible. I talk about it in several videos, you got plenty to watch. To get more videos like this one, you can like, subscribe, Patreon and such, and let's go. The seeking camera is very easy to notice. In those seconds when we don't know what we're supposed to notice, the camera is what we notice. Because it creates expectation, it is the favorite type of movement of horror films. When the camera leaves a character in a mysterious, unmotivated journey, we can't help but wonder what terror we're about to meet. But such motions are also a common way of adding a character to the scene, usually as a surprise. Instead of simply cutting to the new character, the camera imitates the people in the shot and turns to the side. It slightly delays the reveal and makes it look like we're right there in the location, turning our heads like everyone else.
Elizabeth, I hate to have to break the news to you, but at this very moment your fiancé, Mr. David Larrabee,
Is late as usual.
Allowing the camera to wander is also a favorite technique to reveal character through the production design. We seek one object, and then another, and in that addition personality is unveiled. The problem with the seeking camera is that it can too easily become a crutch for bad directing. You don't need to position actors and objects in the right place. You don't need to pick an informative angle. Just leave everything wherever. You can always move the camera from point A to point B and be done with it. Ever so slowly if you're Shyamalan. That's it, the following in the seeking camera. These two are the major types of camera movement, but I don't think they're enough. There's plenty more to go over. As far as Mackendrick is concerned, every other type of movement is unmotivated because it doesn't follow a code. But I think subsets of the unmotivated are worth fleshing out. They are all motions where we don't follow a code, but we are not left codeless. To begin, here's a type of camera movement very similar to seeking, which I call revealing. Our code is part of something or someone, and we move simply to reveal the rest. Each new part becomes a momentary coat until we normally reach a face. Unlike seeking, it gives us coats in the middle. The revealing camera is a very common way to stylishly introduce a character. Here in Casablanca we see Bogey's hand. The camera could move up to his face and it would be a case of revealing. But Curtiz prefers following and makes the camera move alongside his cigarette. Following, the more invisible choice. More types of camera movement. The camera can enlarge or reduce. When it enlarges, we close in on our coat. We see it in greater detail. Might be done just for intensity's sake. When it reduces, we pull back from our coat, making it smaller compared to its surroundings and possibly including new coats.
Oh jeez, now what are we gonna do?
Never mind. Keep pulling back. Maybe nobody will notice.
Speaking of including, it is worth an entry of its own. Camera movement can also include and exclude. Our coat is in place, but the camera moves horizontally or vertically to include a new character, and or to exclude an old one. If coat 1 leaves the frame before we reach coat 2, it's seeking. If it doesn't, it's including. Now another type, arcing. It's when the camera orbits around the coat. It's done either to add intensity to the shot, or to reframe to get a better angle without a cut. It tends to be overused today, especially in those 360 degrees revolutions. Sometimes it's okay.
Where is Polonius?
In heaven.
But it's almost always over-the-top compensation for static blocking. Finally, there's the bastard child of camera movement. When the camera is technically moving, but we don't get any difference in information on screen from beginning to end, when it doesn't really reframe at all. Take Robert Altman's Gosford Park. Terrific movie, very unusually shot. It's a known fact that the camera moves in every single shot, but most of them are like this. It's moving in spirit, but that's it. If you ask me, for all intents and purposes, that's the same as a static camera. Since I'm naming kinds of motion with words like following, seeking, revealing, etc., I'm gonna call this type of camera movement the nothing camera. I'm just mentioning it to be thorough. Now we've been through everything, following, seeking, revealing, enlarging, reducing, including, excluding, arcing and nothing. It's good to show how these types of movement can work together. You'll often find them in combinations. Take a look at this shot from The Taste of Things. We seek, arc, seek, enlarge, seek, follow, and reduce. The camera is like a living entity, and mind how the door is conveniently located so we fluidly get a new coat when this one walks out. Take Spielberg, he loves to do an arcing motion that turns into including. In this shot from The Hidden Fortress, Kurosawa starts off by following and switches to seeking in the same motion. This basket we were following down until then stops falling, but the camera doesn't. It seeks from this point on until it finds our character. In the opposite direction, Andrzej Wajda does the same thing in The Ashes. We're following the riders to the left, and in the same motion we start seeking up until we reach Napoleon. When the camera starts off following, some brief seeking in the end can go unnoticed. To cap things off, I'm gonna ask a question. Can you follow and seek at the same time? It should make no sense, but I want to talk about what I call X-ray vision. Camera movement. It's when the camera follows a character who moves behind a wall, but we keep following until we reach the other side. So, were you following or were you seeking?
I don't know.
Well, story-wise we're following, but technically speaking, when there's no coat, that's a case of seeking. I'll stick to calling it X-ray vision. Bonus points if you can include a surprise coat in the wall bit. Okay, now you, dear viewer, gotta help me out. Can you think of a shot where we follow with X-ray vision but the character doesn't come out on the other side? As if they managed to trick the camera. It sounds like something you'd find in a film by Mel Brooks or Zucker Abrahams. I can even picture Wes Anderson doing it. But I can't come up with a single example! It's got to have happened somewhere! You got any idea how much it consumes me? Here in the rules of the game, we follow, seek, arc, seek, include, exclude. We kind of X-ray vision, but we get distracted midway, and follow. That's about it. We shouldn't look at camera movement as a single tool, it's a whole arsenal of tools. As I say goodbye, try and describe by yourself what's this camera motion here from the asphalt jungle. Hope you had fun. Thank you for watching.